Ever wonder what really keeps a plane safe up there in the sky? Well, we're about to pull back the curtain on a hidden layer of aviation safety, and it's probably not what you're thinking. It's not the engines, it's not the wings, it's this unsung hero of every single flight, a massive paper trail that acts as the plane's invisible co-pilot. Okay, let's get into it.
So let me ask you a question. When you think about aircraft safety, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it, I don't know, the reinforced cockpit door, the emergency oxygen masks, maybe the life vests under your seat? Well, what if I told you the single most important safety feature is none of those things?
Believe it or not, the most critical safety feature might just be a big stack of paper. Yeah, you heard me. It's this whole collection of manuals, logs, and certificates that basically act as the aircraft's DNA. It's the rulebook, it's the passport to the sky, and it governs every single thing that happens from takeoff to landing.
And that brings us right to the heart of this paper trail, the plane's official rulebook. Every single aircraft has one. And let me be clear, this is not a list of suggestions. This is the law, written in ink and followed to the letter.
Now, here's a really important distinction. You might get a generic owner's manual with a new plane, kind of like you would with a new car. But that's just for general reading. The real deal, the one that matters, is the Pilot's Operating Handbook, or POH. This is an FAA-approved document, it's legally binding, and it's specific to one single aircraft. We're talking right down to the serial number. Pilots have to follow it, no exceptions.
And this handbook is unbelievably thorough. I mean, it's broken down into 9 standard sections that cover literally everything you could imagine. We're talking precise checklists for just normal everyday flying, super detailed descriptions of every system on the plane, and even these complex performance charts that can tell a pilot the exact amount of runway they'll need on a hot day at a high altitude. It is the definitive guide to that one specific airplane.
Okay, so out of all those sections, let's zoom in on what is without a doubt the most critical part. Section 2, the limitations. These are not just guidelines. They are hard and fast rules. They are the absolute red lines that a pilot cannot, under any circumstances, cross.
And you have to understand these limits. A perfect example is airspeed. The POH defines the exact, precise speeds for safe operation in all sorts of different situations. And look, exceeding these limits isn't like getting a speeding ticket. You're talking about the plane literally breaking apart in the sky. That's how serious this is.
And here's how pilots see those limits right in front of their faces. The airspeed indicator is color-coded. You see that white arc? That's your safe range for flying with the flaps down. The green arc is the normal, everyday operating range. Now that yellow arc, that's a caution zone. You can only fly that fast in smooth air. And that little red line at the top, that's the VNE, the never exceed speed. If you cross that line, you are in serious trouble.
But obviously, the FAA knows that pilots can't be flipping through a manual during a critical moment of flight. So this crucial information isn't just tucked away in a book somewhere. It's placed right in the pilot's line of sight, where it's pretty much impossible to ignore.
They do this using what are called placards. Think of them as these little signs, these warnings and limitations posted right there on the instrument panel, on the doors, on the controls. They're constant, unavoidable reminders of what the aircraft can and can't do, covering everything from flight maneuvers all the way down to simple instructions for latching a seat.
And for those very rare moments when things do go wrong, the POH is the pilot's best friend in an emergency. Section 3, Emergency Procedures, gives them these precise, step-by-step checklists for basically everything imaginable, from an engine failure to a cabin fire. It's designed to turn panic into a clear, methodical procedure.
So, we've established the TOH is the rulebook for how to fly the plane. But wait a minute, how do we know the plane is even legal to be in the air in the first place? Well, that's where 2 other critical documents come into play, the twin certificates.
On board every single aircraft, you are going to find these 2 essential documents, the Certificate of Registration and the Airworthiness Certificate. I know they might just look like more paperwork, but they function as the aircraft's legal birth certificate and its license to fly.
The easiest way to think about these is to use your car as an analogy. The Certificate of Registration? That's just like your car's title. It proves who owns it. The Airworthiness Certificate, though, that is like the safety inspection sticker on your car's windshield. It's the FAA's official stamp of approval saying, yep, we've checked this plane and it is safe to fly. One proves ownership, the other proves safety.
But here's the catch. That airworthiness certificate is only valid as long as the aircraft is being properly maintained. And this brings us to the final and, maybe the most continuous part of this whole paper trail, the maintenance lifeline.
So, to stay airworthy, a plane has to go through these incredibly rigorous inspections. For smaller planes, the two most common are the annual inspection, which, you guessed it, happens every 12 months, and the 100-hour inspection. That one is required for any plane that's carrying passengers for hire. And these aren't just a quick once-over, they're performed by certified airframe and power plant, or A&P mechanics. For that super exhaustive annual inspection, it has to be signed off by a mechanic with a special inspection authorization.
Okay, but what happens if an unsafe problem is discovered after a bunch of planes are already out there flying? That's when the FAA issues what's called an Airworthiness Directive, or an AD. Honestly, the best way to think of it is as a mandatory, non-negotiable recall for an airplane. It's a legally enforceable rule to fix a known problem, period.
And these ADs kind of come in two flavors. You've got emergency ADs, which are the really critical ones. They ground the entire fleet of that aircraft model and demand an immediate fix before the next flight. Then there are less urgent ones, which have a specific time frame, a deadline for the repair to be made. In both cases, compliance is not optional. It is logged, it's tracked, and it's legally required for that plane to be considered airworthy.
You know, when you boil it all down, it comes back to this one simple truth. Every rule, every checklist, every signature in a logbook, it's all part of this complex, interconnected system designed for one single purpose: a safe flight. This documentation isn't just bureaucracy. It really is an essential tool, that unseen co-pilot making sure everyone arrives safely.
So the next time you board a plane and you're buckling your seatbelt, just take a second to think about that invisible framework of rules and limits and logs that's flying right there with you. It's a pretty amazing testament to a system where safety isn't just a priority, it's meticulously, obsessively documented.